Mathematics, 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 mathematics. It appears as though Jamaicans are having a challenge with this subject, this discipline, this thinking. I'm not sure who is going to solve it, who's going to bail this cat, but it's clear somebody needs to bail this mathematics cat. So I want to look at mathematics performance in Jamaica, and I'm going to be looking at it from an empirical perspective using exam results to establish what is going on with this math phenomenon in Jamaica and argue whether we should change it, whether we should address it, or whether we should leave it as it is. Now, this presentation I want to share with people for us to look at what the empirical things are. And I'm presenting you with empirical data, analyzing from statistical perspective using mathematics for you to understand the seriousness of the issue. So I'm not speaking to you now from the perspective of just words, coining constructs, coining ideas, coining concepts. I'm using empirical results given to us by none other than the Caribbean Examination Council to look at this. Now, Jamaica, there's no doubt about the education system in Jamaica that parents are a critical part of the process in terms of beginning from primary school, assisting the children to actually go to school on time, be fed, all of that. And the teachers know is also a part of this system. So if there is going to be a failure of the education system in Jamaica, it cannot be singly, and I repeat that, it cannot be singly that of the teachers or the administrator or the school, because the parents are also a part of the process. Now, there's no doubt looking at GSAT results, and GSAT is also used as the transition from primary school into secondary school. And we need to understand clearly, if we are going to be looking at performance in CSET math, we cannot do so singly without looking at the GSAT, the feeder to what is actually going on here. No, and of course, the GSAT, remember the GSAT is done by the grade 6 students. All right, so we need to understand what is already happening there. And it forms a basis on which most of the students are going to be learning in terms of that preliminary stage, what is actually going on in Jamaica. So I'm going to ask the question, therefore, what is the crisis that we are facing in Jamaica with this math? I'm sure you have been hearing about this math thing, and then some persons are not taking it seriously because we are saying, okay, then math is only used by those persons who are actuaries, math is only used by some individuals, and we do not seem to understand that math is a critical skill in order to survive, or to deal with life, or to do business, or to survive in the social world. So a number of us are taking math out of context. Math is critical as though you're drinking water. And therefore, some people need to understand that. So if math is in a crisis, our society is in a crisis in terms of thinking, in terms of development, and many other things. Now, I'm going to ask a question of persons. Are you aware that there's a crisis in mathematics performance among Jamaican students? Are you aware of that? Did you know that there's a crisis? You may not. Let's present you with some information here now. This is now a table. I'm presenting you a table with our GSAT performance of our students from 2002 to 2018. And if you look at the percentages in terms of columns 2, you realize what has been going on in Jamaica. And if you look at the annual percentage change, you realize that our society is not doing well as we would have hoped or want in terms of those performances. And we're going up to 2018 in terms of GSAT. Then another question we need to ask ourselves again, is there a crisis? So we have 50% of persons passing math. The marginal change in performance, or the annual marginal change in performance, is relatively low, except maybe a 1 year or twice over the period we discussed earlier. But does that represent a crisis, though? No. It may or may not, depends on how you actually view things. But we look at what the Ministry of Education has been actually doing in Jamaica in terms of how they have actually tried to assist teachers, how they have introduced the coaching thing in terms of mathematics, that to you would indicate that something's actually going on in society. So we're going to be using a theoretical framework to sort of understand what is actually going on. And the theoretical framework that we'll be using is the situated learning theory to structure and guide how it is that we'll be actually looking at what is actually going on in Jamaica. So work with me and let's see what happens here. Now, an objectivist paradigm will be used. We're actually using data from established sources, as we mentioned before. We're going to actually be putting in this data in a statistical package to make analysis of what is actually happening, and then we're going to actually give you what is actually going on in terms of Jamaica. So, what's some of the findings that we actually see in happening in Jamaica? GSAT performance things. We're giving you some values in terms of GSAT, and I will just use now a regression to sort of look at what is happening in terms of some of the things that are happening inside math. Now, what do we realize in terms of math from actually looking at the phenomenon in terms of we're trying to understand whether there's a crisis in math and what is going on with the mathematics? We realize now that math scores, all right, we're testing normality of the things. So, okay, then things are normal, which means I'm able to actually use my values to do whatever I want to do, meeting all the assumptions. So therefore, I can actually go now and actually look at my math performance of my students. So I'm saying math performance in Jamaica, we're going to look at math performance, whether math performance is influenced by social studies, it is influenced by science, it's influenced by communication tasks, and it is influenced by language arts. Now, why are we looking at these components? I'm looking at it from the grade 6 perspective to sort of see how we could explain what is going on at the secondary level, as whether our students are provided with the right tools or whether the subjects that are taught at school at the grade primary school level is actually where the issue is in terms of what is going on with our children in Jamaica. All right. So what we found out is that math is influenced positively by social studies, that's at the grade 6 level, at the primary school level, positively by English language, positively by communication, positively by the sciences, all right, and negatively by age. We are letting you understand clearly that what is going on in the schools at the primary level. No, a number of persons are not thinking that math performance is influenced by the other subjects that are taught at least at the primary level. We have now found that math is influenced by social studies, English language, communication studies, and the sciences. You need to understand that clearly. Let's go again. Math performance is influenced by social studies, language arts, communication task, and sciences. If you look at the parameter values in terms of the beta values or the coefficient values that are there in front of each of the variables, which is SS being social study, L being language arts, C being communication task, and S being actual science, you will realize from these that language arts and social studies contributes more to performance in mathematics than the sciences and communication task. So we are saying that English language and social studies are critically assisting students to become better at mathematics at the primary level. Now, if that is the case, it automatically means you can actually deduce from here that something clearly is amiss with social studies and language art, that we are unable to teach these two subjects, which are contributing significantly to math, to make a substantial difference in math performance that will take students over to the secondary level. We're saying English is assisting the students and social studies assisting the students, but clearly we are not using these subjects sufficiently enough to make a fundamental impact on the math overall performance. Now, the model is actually created there, and I will give you how it is in terms of what the contributors are in terms of the various indicators. And we are saying here, based on the indicators, that language arts is a critical component of the math performance. Therefore, what is going on with the language arts at the primary level, that the skills that the students require to do language and, of course, comprehension is not transferring over to them understanding mathematics? What are we doing wrong at the primary level, at the elementary level, that language, which is a critical skill to understanding mathematics, is not being imparted to students, that they can use this to make a better understanding of the math and move the math to a level that we could actually see some great math performance at the primary level. Clearly, from our work here, we are saying math is not a dilemma at the primary level. And the dilemma at the primary level is going to be continued at the secondary level and the tertiary level. But what are we saying in terms of this research? We are saying when a child is not given the right skills in terms of language, that child is going to be having problems to understand the math. When a child is provided with the critical skills in terms of the sciences, the critical skills that are in social studies, that child is going to have problems later in math. And then one need to understand clearly that a part of what is happening to a number of the Jamaican children is that they are having a difficulty with language, and therefore they are unable to read these math questions and do well in the math. Now, if that is so, then it means that how we are addressing math in schools is going about it the wrong way, because we are saying that we need to actually zero in on the math, when this research is actually saying to us that the language is creating an issue, because the language fundamental is driving the math performance and social studies. So therefore, we are going to have to be providing children in Jamaica with the critical skills from an early age to be able to read and to comprehend, that they can now use those critical skills through math. Math is simply not about mathematics. There are many skills that mathematics provide that society requires. And if we're not given those skills to students or children or people, then the society is going to be at a loss later when it's required to do medicine, do engineering, to build bridges, etc. Jamaica needs to look at what we are doing in terms of aiding students to comprehend the language, to understand language, and that needs to go and begin at the homes. So language and social studies are two critical subjects at the primary level that we are seeing that positively influence math performance. Therefore, if the students in Jamaica are struggling with mathematics, it means that they're also struggling with language. The students, the pupil in Jamaica must be made better in terms of starting with the skills required to read, to comprehend, and to use those skills to do their mathematics. If a child is unable to read, then he or she would not be able to successfully do mathematics when it is required that they need to read to understand the issue that is being said. Now, there's a difference between arithmetic and mathematics. I want you to understand clearly arithmetic is a part of mathematics. So if a child is given how to multiply with a simple set of the multiplication thing, that does not require in the form of reading. But most of the math beyond that is going to require important and critical skills in terms of being able to read, in terms of being able to do language. This is where our children are being held hostage by because they are unable to read. Reading has marred, has hampered, has destroyed our students and people in Jamaica from being able to do mathematics at a high level. Many of them cannot read, cannot do language, cannot comprehend written ideas in terms of language, and therefore this is handicapping our children and pupils from being able to do mathematics. So to address the mathematics phenomenon in Jamaica, as simple as when we're looking at math, we need to look at the syllabus for social studies, for English language, for the sciences, particularly for social studies and English language, if we are going to help children with doing mathematics. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have to say? Like, share, and subscribe to my channel as I continue to provide with trusted information for you to make decisions. This one is a mouthful, but we need to address it.